In this lesson, we're going to discuss 3 different examples for how to solve a quadratic by using the quadratic formula. You'll see the quadratic formula here, and it's written as x equals negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And it's this idea with our quadratics where they are in standard form of ax squared plus bx plus c, where we just need to pick out a, b, c, plug them into the formula, use a calculator if necessary, and solve. Let's dive into our first example. I have the quadratic formula up here on the left, upper left there. So we want to find the zeros using the quadratic formula. It's 2x squared plus 7x minus 4. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to pick out what a is, what b is, and what c. A is 2, b is 7, and c is negative 4. I'm going to take those numbers and plug them into this formula. So I get x equals negative b. Well, if b is 7, the opposite of 7 is negative 7, plus or minus the square root b squared. So we got 7 to the second power minus 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is negative 4, all divided by 2 times 2. So I'm going to go through here and simplify this. I'm going to start with underneath the radical. So negative 7 plus or minus the square root of 7 squared is 49. Okay, then we have negative 4 times 2 times negative 4. Well, that's going to give us negative 8 times negative 4, which is a positive 32. 49 plus 32 is a positive 81, all divided by 2 times 2, which is 4. Now we know what the square root of 81 is. It's going to be negative 7 plus or minus 9 divided by 4. So we're going to get 2 different answers. We're going to start with x equals negative 7 plus 9 divided by 4. And I'm going to do that operation on top there. Negative 7 plus 9 is 2. 2 divided by 4 is 1/2. So there's my first answer. Second answer is going to be x equals negative 7 minus 9 divided by 4. That'd be negative 16 divided by 4, so x equals negative 4. There are my 2 answers. Let's try a second example. Now this example I know is not going to turn out very nice. Okay, again, we're going to use that same formula. Let's see if we can't get that formula up in here. All right, at any rate, make sure you have your quadratic formula handy, written down somewhere. Pick out A, B, and C. A is 1, B is 3, C is negative 9. We're going to plug it in. X equals negative B. Well, that's going to be negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 3 to the second power minus 4 times 1 times negative 9. All divided by 2 times 1. So we get negative 3 plus or minus the square root. This is going to be 9 minus, we have negative 4 times 1 times negative 9. That would be negative 36. Or negative 4 times negative 9 would be positive 36. 9 plus 36 is going to be a positive 45. All divided by 2. We can't take the square root of 45, but we have learned how to simplify that. If you take the square root of 45 and we simplify it. Okay, we can do 9 times 5, in which we get 3 and 3. So we can simplify this to 3 square root of 5. So after I reduce it, I get x equals negative 3 plus or minus 3 square root of 5. Sorry, let me erase that. Try that again. Square root of 5, all divided by 2. Now I can't take 3 divided by 2, but if I could, take these numbers. If this were a 4, a negative 4, and this were a 4 here, I can divide them both by 2. But they cannot be simplified any further. So that is how I would leave my answer. Let's try one more. And this time, we're going to get a complex answer. Complex zeros. So same idea, quadratic formula. Pick out A, B, and C. A is 3. B is negative 1. C is 8. So we have x equals negative B. Well, B is 1, negative 1. So the opposite would be 1 plus or minus the square root of negative 1 squared minus 4 times 3 times 8 all over 2 times 3. We get x equals 1 plus or minus the square root. We have 1 minus 4 times 3 is 12 times 8, and we should get negative 96. So we have 1 minus 96 would be a negative 95 divided by all over 2 times 3, which is 6. Handwriting's getting a little sloppy. Okay, you see the square root of negative 95. We need to simplify that. So we get the square root of 95 times the square root of negative 1. We've practiced this before. We're going to try to simplify 95. Okay, and if I try to do that, I get 5 and 19. I can't reduce those numbers. I can't pull anything out. So we are going to leave our answer like this. 1 plus or minus the square root of 95 I all over 6. So sometimes we have complex solutions in which we are going to have a negative number underneath the square root. Now, if you try to use a calculator and you get an error when you're trying to do the quadratic formula, that is because you are trying to take the square root of a negative number, which is not possible.